Yes, I would like to welcome everybody to the East Kelowna Transcona Community Committee meeting. My name is City Councilor Russ White, Transcona Ward. I'm joined with Councilor Jeffrey Waddy for the North Kelowna Ward, as well as Councilor Emma Duran Wood, who is from the Elmwood East Kelowna Ward, who's coming to us live via Zoom or whatever the system is.
I'd like to move suspension of the rules to allow for the councillor to participate remotely.
Oh, very
Right,
good.
the suspension of the rules, or just to move that rule? It's just a motion. It's a motion.
Motion moved, so moved by Councilor Waddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's official.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll start the meeting, and also joined us with is Richard Mahi, Choi Ho, our planner, Richard Mahi from the planning division of the city, and Mr. Brendan Harris, our city clerk. Thank you. I'd like to read land and water acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, and Innu Cree, Dakota peoples in the national homeland of the River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake, 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory, and this has no legal obligations or ramifications on the city. All right, let's begin the meeting. We have a regular agenda items. Are we ready to start dealing with them? We have a motion, I guess, for the meeting minutes. The last EKT council wanting to move that one, as well as the motion to move the reg minutes. So move both items. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Councillor. Let's jump in. Do we have delegations?
We do have delegations today. Our first delegation is Justin Zarnowski, General Counsel, Shinnecoe Realty Inc., to be heard with respect to plan approval, Reinders Drive, Report 4, filed DAS 33-2013. Justin, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
I've got my USB of plug that in over here.
Okay, that's the one you had sent to me previously?
It is.
Excellent.
Okay, that's kind of like my wife's school.
Well, I don't think it is.
I'm going to be checking for a date on it, but I can be for EKT for us at the end of July. I think. Well, yeah, and didn't Jeremy? So it's regarding to taxi way. We're trying to well, we'll have to pencil it a date because technically the mayor's office.
Mayor's office or the number of members against.
Apparently the mayor's office is going to have the sale of a special meeting. So we have to go through. This is a bold issue. I wasn't here. Anyway. Okay. Are you ready? Hello, Mr. Zarnowski. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Good to see you. Very good. What's this all about? Inform us.
Well, so you've been working at this project almost as long, or actually longer than I have. I've got my 15 years into it, and we're finally ready to do some buildings here. So this is at Reindeers, next to Pegwis, just north of Kildonan Place. So just to give you a sense of where this is. One of our neighbors is the Sherry Zedek Cemetery, so we've been trying to be respectful. I mean, we're a Jewish organization, and so we wanted to make sure that old cemetery was well planned into our site. And so just to give you a sense of what we're talking about today, for the plan approval is we're starting at the middle of the site. And the reason for that is we've got cross access into the Kildonan Place. And then we've also got a lot of retail interest from folks that are saying they'd really like to be here. Smaller base than we had originally thought. If you remember the site plan I presented to you in 2013, but well, we were
sorry. I should remember. I don't.
Well, we thought it'd be a great spot for a Best Buy and a Winners, and we were wrong. But now what we've got is, so this will be more community-based retail and service. So we're talking about medical clinics, dental clinics, kind of small restaurants. Pure and Simple announced that they had signed a lease here, so they'll be right adjacent to the cemetery. But that type of use, your smaller uses. And then one of the other things we wanted to do to be respectful of the cemetery was plan a building, but then also a park and ideally a daycare if we can find one, to take this area just south of the cemetery and the parkland they maintain. So this is just a 3D rendering to show you what that looks like. One of the things that we wanted to do was make sure that we had some discussions with the residents. I've spent a bunch of time on Almy over the years doing this development. And so we had a residents meeting June 11th to discuss this plan approval. We printed off some of the boards, actually the exact ones that we're sharing with you now so that the community could have a sense of what we were doing and some say on the potential uses and the finer details. We had 10 residents attend. Some questions and some concerns raised, largely around traffic and a little bit of site design, but generally positive.
Mhm.
So, again, I'm a picture guy, so I wanted to show off a couple of things that we built that are similar. We're not doing Walmart here, but the Firehouse Subs and Scotiabank are similar quality and style buildings. Likewise, at Grand Park Festival, we did an addition with a pancake house on the end, which will be pretty similar to the Pure and Simple, and then otherwise, it's that kind of local service style retail.
What do they, go back, what do they, on that one, what do they have against trees over there in
Well, so the railroad doesn't like them, and
hydro too.
then we do have hydro easements. Like this is land that we bought from CN and from Hydro, and so we've got a lot of site constraints on this site. Yeah,
Really, CN doesn't pay any municipal taxes, no, neither does CP.
you should be glad we bought it.
Yeah, well, I guess so, but I mean, do you think that's fair that they're not paying any?
Well, we'd buy more of their stuff if they were willing to sell.
Well, it goes back. Okay. All right, so that was the example there, and this is another.
This is another one. This is Main and Murray, a more recent development where we actually bought this land from the city that was excess for the overpass on Main Street. Did similar type of thing, couple of restaurants, insurance broker, and a Dollarama. And then the last one, this is at Pembina Crossing where we did a medical center and a Dairy Queen. So kind of what I just said, some of the uses that we're targeting here, all going to be smaller bay, a lot of local businesses and people living in Transcona that are going to have a spot to open a high quality business with parking and a kind of new building for them to use. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is just our timeline. This is important for our plan approval coming through right away. Is the tenants that have expressed interest want to be open next year.
I hear what you're saying.
And so, yeah, we want to get started as soon as we can.
Okay.
So that's it. I'll yield my 28 seconds.
And I know the park that you're proposing is excellent. I also know that you're not, normally this is not something that's more a residential developer does, right? In terms of parks.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, at plan approval, we typically will get, and this is again more of information because I'm sure you're not aware of it, is that we get a higher level of a design, namely we see planned playground, and signage and so on and so forth. So what I ideally like to do with the support of the committee today is to approve what you have here. However, subject to a higher level park plan coming forward in the fall, if possible, to the September meeting. That'll give you enough time, hopefully, to do that.
You're stuck with me as a lawyer, so let me just make sure I know what you're saying.
Sure.
So you're saying you want to call it a premium plan approval for the children visit.
A regular, let's call it regular. I don't want to, we're not doing anything harder on you than we do on anybody else.
Okay, but so for the children of Israel Park and the daycare building?
Right. Well, I wouldn't, no, I'm like the daycare building proceed. I'm just saying we're gonna approve it with subject to the asterisks on park detail, namely signage and everything else, including cost and including, I'm looking at the cemetery, rather than locking the cemetery off at, and as long as it's of course okay with the managers of the cemeteries, Cherry Synagogue, that there be an appropriate park entrance into the with signage, right? Since you're building the fencing anyway, rather than fence it off completely, and as well, the fencing will be important so that it is not a fence which, how should I say, blocks visibility, right? Because of issues that occur, unfortunately, in cemeteries. We want to have high visibility. So we want that level of detail to come to a regular meeting in September. But this would then still allow you to pull permits and everything else on the balance of the project, including the daycare.
Yeah,
Including the daycare.
totally fine with us. We,
Okay.
you know, we've been having those discussions with Sherry Zedek. Unfortunately, organizations like that aren't as fast as we are.
Okay.
And so, yeah, having an opportunity to have a better connection there too and have that collaboration, totally fine with us.
And the push would be, the important thing is to get it to the September meeting, right? So it's done, and then you don't have to worry about it depending on who's in this chair. Not to say there's gonna be a change or anything else. I haven't decided what I'm doing, but anyway,
We'll do everything we can to get on that meeting.
okay, very good. I'll assist you as much as I can behind the scenes, and support of our public service is always there. Thank you. Any questions, councilors? Councilor Bawani, Councilor Brandon Wood.
Not for me, thanks.
Okay. I just have one, Jeff, Councilor Bawani, or a couple. Now, one of the issues raised at the open house, I understand, that I heard about there, is the issue of the fence, the back fence. And the type of design. I don't see anything here for that in front of me. Is there another drawing I'm missing?
So there is, as part of our submitted plans.
Okay.
So if you go to page
Yeah.
20,
What?
sorry, 21.
My pages are not numbered.
Okay, so
Show me the picture.
it's fence detail PA, it's not that descriptive, PA 32.
Last two?
It says sheet 22 of 25, you're,
Oh, yes, okay,
zoning
I
and
see
permit
it.
grant.
It's not colored, but I can see something. All right. Well, yes, I see. Is that this black and white one?
it is, yeah. So it's an aluminum fence with aluminum pickets, concrete, aluminum, yeah.
Really? Okay, why are you using aluminum? I'm glad. I'm just curious. It's,
So that's the frame and then we're putting wood over it. Like it's a wood fence with an
oh,
aluminum.
wood. Oh, okay. That's really good. Right. I understand that, there was a product used, Councilor Bawani, or there's a product used up along the discussion was a similar type of structure for both aesthetics and for I guess longevity, maintenance, as well as for the purpose of aesthetics for the residents to the north, blocking the visibility of a commercial site. There's talk of a similar design fence as we see along the Chief Painwoods Trail, right? That was put in there by another developer or city who was recently EPC.
So I think you're talking about a masonry fence
No, I'm talking,
Or is it-
it's PVC, right? Is it?
Yes.
or vinyl.
I'll check. Yeah, plastic, vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, what's a little bit cheaper, but in terms of where property managers were to own this thing forever, if the desire is to have that kind of longer term vinyl PVC
Right.
style fence, yeah, it's something that we could easily accommodate.
Wait, and would you be open to the idea of having that item as well brought back so we could have a look at it as well as the colors in color, I got black and white, in color for the September meeting as well? That would not prevent you from moving forward therefore on the balance of the structures.
Yeah, just so if typically we'd want the fence up first, if we're getting plan approval in September, it'll end up going in spring. Because we're not gonna put a fence in October.
No,
But generally, as long as that timing isn't gonna be an issue, totally fine.
okay. All right, so be comfortable, right?
So again, the primary or one of the intersections is gonna be your current Storageville access from State Pond. That'll add a connection to
Not beautiful.
Excuse me, so not on this phase. Storageville's here,
oh, I see.
so this, I mean, I've been wrong before, so don't quote me on it. We think is a good residential site, so the connections here will be both off the reindeers.
And you're putting in signals for both pieces on day one?
If you let us, we love signals. So long as we've got Stantec working with Public Works to give traffic numbers to justify them. But 100%.
I'm sorry, I missed Councilor Roy's question. Can you repeat it again? Color.
Sure, my question initially was, does the lights on there correspond to State Pond or somewhere else?
Somewhere else. So this is Rougeau, which is the main entrance into the back of Gildona Place.
So that light is aligned with Rougeau.
Why is there another light going in further to the west?
Let's call it aspirational. We like lights, so long as the traffic council justify them, we would really like to have 2 signalized entrances, so would our tenants. But ultimately, that ends up being a discussion point between us and the city that hasn't yet been resolved.
So would day one be then lights at, or one further to the west?
Rougeau, if we were gonna pick, Rougeau for sure.
And it'd be a four-way light, obviously, okay.
Yeah.
And that would go in with this phase, not the daycare.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
like I said,
Yeah,
we would put it in as soon as we could.
Okay.
So is this an obligation that's in your plan approval?
It's an obligation that's in our servicing agreement as part of the zoning.
But your servicing agreement, to my understanding, was approved in the November 2024 as a right that went to council. So how is there a servicing agreement that would be coming back?
So when we took this was the 2013 application we did to take this from RR5 to C4. So
Yeah.
there was a servicing agreement.
But what, that's null and void, I thought, in terms of what council did in 2024 of November.
It's not.
It's not, okay, so still in place. So the obligation there, what about obligation, oh, sorry, Jeff, was there any, did you have any? Like, was but thanks for raising that. So the obligation in terms of, what about, it's one thing to put a traffic light in. However, at that, I'm looking at the one that lines up with the north-south road on the east side of Dillon Place, not that one, the other one. That one, yeah. Is there also obligations to require, oh good, Mr. Quality, perfect timing. Is there, for the land development servicing branch, the P&D, so is there obligation there for turning lanes to be installed as well? Because, you know, it's one thing to put a light in. Another thing, if you don't have storage lanes, both for traffic wishing to make a left going south on that road that we're previously heading, or are heading westbound on Reindeers, or for traffic heading eastbound on Reindeers that wish to make a left into your property.
So again, we love access. We want as much queuing as the city will give us. We take the whole boulevard if we could. Our legal obligation with the city is the director of public works gets to pick. We pay for it. They endeavor to collect 50% from the south landowners.
Yeah, but, and I guess the issue here though is that with the mayor's as a right that was done, and this is more a question maybe for our staff, will there be a servicing agreement that would come back to this venue to ensure that happens, or is that now all delegated away? Because it's an as of right. What's the take on it? Maybe Kevin could do you understand? Yeah, okay.
So this is DAS at 33 of 2013. There was a council approval in 2013.
Okay.
Of the subdivision. It was quite robust in the traffic considerations for the site. It included 4 intersections, signals. It was almost too robust. Public Works would not, it's not likely that it would warrant the number of signals that were in that agreement or the original approval. We executed that approval as it was approved, or executed that agreement as it was approved. There is room to, based on what is proposed here, there's certainly still verbiage in there that would allow the improvements of the intersections, but it seems like the majority of it is already constructed to accommodate the site besides the Rougeau Avenue.
The unofficial Rougeau, because it's owned by the mall.
But there is a servicing agreement for the site.
Okay, no, when you say it's already in place, I don't think there's turning lanes, full turning lanes. There may be a southbound turning lane.
So there's a clause for improvements.
Okay.
But again, what's built is pretty robust.
Okay, so you're saying that there will be turning lanes at that intersection.
If warranted.
There is actually,
Are you looking at the maps?
looking at satellite,
Satellite, or-
I think there actually might be a pretty,
all right, northbound as well.
northbound.
So if you're heading west, or sorry, heading towards Costco.
I think we're Costco, there's a storage lane that wouldn't be used for anything right now. It's already
Right,
there.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, very good. And the question is, what is the size of the storage lane and so on?
Again, there's 2 already installed. They're pretty robust.
Okay.
And I think they're as big as they can be.
Okay, I understand. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's probably half a dozen cars, 5.
All right, well, we definitely have an issue down at the Costco intersection that has to be addressed, and I think that's one of the meetings we're gonna have in the summer with the staff, yourself, and the representatives at Costco to address their dog breakfast there, if you want to call it that.
I agree with that.
Okay, so, don't have anything against dogs. All right, so then other issues. I heard there was an issue concern about your garbage enclosure off by the top corner of Sherry Zedek there on the west side. What, people were, I heard there were some concerns raised by the residents that, you know, they're concerned in terms of respect up against a cemetery, and I agree with some of the thoughts, so.
And so were we. So this is not a typical garbage enclosure. It's a masonry brick wall.
Okay,
So on three sides, obviously you need to
what's
get
a brick wall?
like
A
masonry.
garbage enclosure?
Yeah.
Okay,
So not a typical garbage enclosure. We actually do this for almost all of our garbage enclosures now, so that the graffiti is easier to clean off.
Okay.
Nobody can burn them down. So but it has the effect of being a very, like it's screened entirely from the cemetery, and then like it obviously has to open, but it opens
Sure.
away from the cemetery.
okay, and so unless you're a bird looking down, you can't see the bins and everything, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes the city makes us take the garbage doors off the front because they don't like opening them, but that's
Okay, that's fair. All right, but again, that would still face a westerly direction.
exactly the garbage movement. If you can see mine, would be they pull in here, take it, and then go all the way around.
All right, so I was just informed by the clerk a few minutes ago that apparently we can't just approve and then say bring back changes because it would require a whole new, I guess, plan approval, and unless we isolate, I suppose, the site, we could cut a piece of it off and then say that this, but we can't do that, I don't think. We either have to go up or down, this way or that way, as they say, and then put it through. So I guess the only way we could do it is if the committee delegates authority, I guess, via the administration, right, working with the area councillor to come up with a design. And
Well, and so in the
pertaining, I'm talking about the playground and so on.
okay, sorry, not so the garbage were
Yeah, I'm sorry, I jumped around here, yeah. Coming back to that other matter. Because the issue here, Justin, is just the level of detail that we would get on that sort of stuff, just not here right now unless I missed something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conceptual design for the park, and part of that, well, you know, our view, and I understand why you want a little bit more say. It was having a discussion with the playground on what they want and what's safe and what we can fence and what we can't fence. Really depends on the operator and people who know more about daycares than we do.
Sure.
But yeah, in terms of kind of locking that down, and then coming back with that and the fence and the connectivity to the Children of Israel lands is fine with us, so long as, like you said, we could, you know, move forward with our permits for the other buildings.
Yeah, it would be just to finalize, I guess is what I would call it, the park designs.
Yeah, it's definitely not, this isn't me drawing with crayons, like
Yeah.
it is designed.
I understand. Just to mention another issue that I know has come up by other plan approvals similar to this, mainly to your competitor to the south, and to be consistent and fair. We as a community committee have required tree vaults, namely in parts of parking lot where it's harder for the tree to grow. So that's something that I'm gonna probably include, not on probably the main thoroughfare, let's call it the entrance trees coming in, because it appears that there is a fair bit of surface area for the trees to get access to water so they can actually grow. However, more pertaining to trees on those islands, I guess I'd call them, where they're separate, as well as some of the parking pad running north and south do not have trees, I guess, at the end, and that's something that I'll probably add as well.
So just, you know, we had this discussion with our landscape architect. What he said was, to the extent that you've got like a landscape pad where you're not compacting the soil,
Yeah.
it's not as necessary. You actually want to have it along these paths where it's tighter and you're creating a canopy for an active transportation pathway that's adjacent to parking. So on page 24 of our submission, we have a typical tree vault that'll be for all of these trees.
I see.
And it's because compacting the soil makes the we don't want dead trees, we don't want trees that don't look good.
Right, right.
So we actually do have a tree vault plan for,
Well, then we should actually have it on all of it, because frankly, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Justin, but frankly, I don't agree, because I can go and show you the trees that are now across the way, south of Regent in the power center that I know your firm also developed, and they're stunted at best. So, and they're on those islands. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. So,
we're here to collaborate.
Okay,
If that's a requirement, we'll do it.
very good. And typically signage comes back here, but again, I guess is there any signage in your plan that you have?
So there isn't. We, because we're still kind of moving tenants around and things like that, their specific signage isn't, this is kind of, we want to make sure that we can build these buildings. We'll give them signage. They'll give us packages back. If we have to come for plan approval on a sign, we'll do it.
Okay, very good. And that's something we do fairly consistently here as well. Going back decades, I could point out to Kilbonan Crossing in Councillor Grant Woods Ward, where that isn't a requirement. So for signage coming forward. All right, no, Kevin, thank you. I understand you got a certain point of community. Nothing happens there. You just shut down with all these or that area. Okay, sounds good. Which may happen after the phone. Let's continue. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Nope, I kept my tight 5 minutes and
The drive-through that you have on is that something that's conceptual, or that's actually, you're gonna build that as well, eh?
we're gonna, yeah, I mean, the drive-throughs are the most desirable locations in these centers and so all three of those are gonna end up getting built.
Okay. Finally, trees along the north side of your property, it appears to be all shrubs. Now, I'm not sure why that's the case, because frankly, my experience has been that whether you like it or not, garbage blows and it just gets into the shrubs and everything else, and that it's far better to have it open with trees running along there versus shrubs. Just because, and I understand, or is that on those shrubs, are they on the north side of the fence or the south side?
On both. So
Oh, I see.
page 24 of my submission, we have the concept that Scatliff did.
We don't have pages. All right.
Second last. So the shrubs are on both sides because the berm.
Well, actually, I forgot it here. Okay, thank you. Well, you got shrubs on both sides. Why on both sides?
Because we thought the sensible point for the fence was the middle of the highest point of the berm. So we have room on either side. So we said we should do something there instead of leaving it open, and that's shrubs. I think if you want trees, I don't.
Well, could we eliminate the shrubs on the north side and then have trees just on the south side with no shrubs? I mean,
It's the back of the.
well, that's what I'm saying. Eliminate. I don't understand why there's any landscaping, because who's going to maintain that on the back?
We would. And well, I mean, our tenants would pay for it and we would do it.
Yeah, that's something that's, all right. I'm not sure of the point of that. It'd be better to invest in better trees on the south side.
But no one's gonna see them. I mean, trees that have no maintenance would be the best, and put them on resident side.
Yeah, I guess so.
Why would you do it?
Yeah, I
Why would
understand.
you do something on the back of like the
Yeah,
loading
okay,
area?
that's a good point, too.
The commercial unit.
Yeah, all
No
right.
one's gonna see it except the delivery guy.
I'm just,
Not that they don't deserve beauty, but regardless.
you're thinking that it'd just be, what would you suggest there, Chief Council Boy, on the south side?
I don't think you need anything, but if you wanted to give the residents, a small number of trees, maybe, I don't know.
All right.
Don't require maintenance, obviously,
Yeah.
stay within aren't gonna have a fence.
If we didn't put any shrubs on the south side of the fence, what would be there? What would we?
It would be grass, yeah. So our agreement is we can't build anything there other than the berm and the fence.
I mean, argue if you put nice enough shrubs and it's now the back wall of these people's homes, they would probably maintain themselves, and if they don't. They
Okay,
go away.
very good. I hear what you're saying, Carl. Boy, that's a good point. Okay. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. I don't have any other questions. Thank
All right,
you.
well, thanks for your time.
Okay. Do you have another map, or do you have another copy of this one here, the drawing?
I try not to print things anymore.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's what we're all getting into this.
Our next delegation is Susan Russell, Gallon Russell Group Inc., to be heard in support of park plan approval, agreement 19 of 20, Summerlee Central Park Report 7.
Thank you. We're gonna all do it together to save time for you guys. That's okay?
Yeah, so this will be Susan Russell, Michael Dixon, and Brock Feenstra.
Exactly.
This is item number what?
Number 7.
Item 7.
Hopefully you can hear us. I think Brock, you wanted.
If I could just get you to share the screen on Zoom there, so that Councillor Duran would can see as well.
Okay, my name is Brock. I'm a senior development manager at Genstar Development Company. And I'm here with Susan Russell and Michael Dixon, the designers. So we're here to talk about the Summerlee Central Park. Your color on here, but where the two ponds are, as you can see, it's central to the entire community with access on all sides through pathways. We're really excited to be here. I know the residents have been waiting for this for a long time. And it's to provide access or a place for them to play and socialize. So we are prepared to get ready as soon as we get approval. And I think the design team will speak to some of the elements of the park that we're looking to do and get your feedback and questions.
Absolutely. So thank you, as Brock said, and Susan Russell from McGowan Russell. We thank you again for the opportunity to speak in support of this. The required improvements, obviously, we are definitely doing those. We've got grading and sodding. We've got land drainage, including property line drainage trenches. And we've got 2 catch basins and pipes to the pond. We've got 48 trees in lieu of irrigation. There's 41 deciduous trees, 6 along the paths leading to each of the Mirabel, Brightview, and Morningview entrances. 14 along the path leading to the Mosaic Summerlee Boulevard entrance, and 9 around the playground, and 7 coniferous trees and beds within the park. We have a 2.4 meter wide required granular path. One is east-west linear path between the ponds connecting Summerlee Boulevard to Morningview Street, and one is a north-south curvilinear path following the west edge of the ponds connecting Mirabel Avenue, Brightview Avenue. Additional improvements. We are using the grading, a multi-use green space, size to accommodate a 45 meter by 75 meter soccer field with north, east, and south perimeter berms, primarily to keep the balls from going out onto the street and into the pond. And an area graded to accommodate a future pickleball high basketball court and associated sitting area. And a 320 square meter playground area with a junior play structure for 2 to 5 year olds, a senior play structure for 5 to 12 year olds with climbing features, imaginative play panels and slides, a swing set and a spinner. Park furniture includes 2 waste receptacles, one at the Mosaic Summerlee entrance and one at the Mirabel entrance, and a playground sitting area with 2 benches with backs and 1 accessible picnic table. In regards to the playground, let's go on to the playground. We can look at that plan view. There's a junior play structure. There's the ABC climber. There's a slide, alphabet tracing panels. Michael will go to the pictures in just a sec. We've got, there we go. That's the junior play structure. So you can see the ABC tracing panels, the alphabet tracing panels, the slide, and the ABC climber. The senior play structure is far more robust. And it has 3 decks, 2 slides, 6 climbers, 2 ramps, imaginative play panels, and it is accessible. More than about half of this structure is accessible directly by these ramps. The swing set has 4 swings, 2 belt swings, 1 infant toddler swing, and 1 accessible swing. And the spinner is very cool. Test that because I played on it many times this type with my grandchildren.
This one, I think, it's curved
Yeah.
spinner.
So it's a mini spinner,
Yeah,
not a big spinner, okay.
yeah, it's a mini spinner. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And that's what we've got for.
The play value doesn't seem to be that great, to be honest with you.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, it seems to be less than what I've seen in other parks that your client has built, for example, on the one on Devonshire north of on the north side in Robert Borden Park. We quite different actually.
What about better swings, trampolines?
Well, I see,
This
I'm,
is, we go.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
that this is, you know, no, is okay, but it's not the same level of design that I see there.
There's really cool stuff here.
No, I'm sure there is,
You got the overhead ladders coming down onto the pods.
did you do the park, the sort of broader border as well?
No,
You did, okay, all right. Yeah, it'd be something to look at, because that's something that would be, you know, to incorporate, because that park is really well used and it just, you know, they also have a sitting area there, which is covered, that's not here. And I can tell you that's something that we're hearing about all the time now. It was happy that Genstar did do that there.
We had a challenge with it for sure. I think it might still be under warranty. There's a lot of challenges with those pergolas that we've had.
Challenges for what?
With just to get them constructed, source them.
Also not with this committee.
No, it's not, nothing to do with approval, the actual physical construction and maintenance of them. I understand there's some challenges with those pergolas. We prefer not to have them. We included trees around there to provide the shading.
Okay,
That was our
you've had challenges with maintenance, but
my understanding. I haven't done one myself, just talking to others.
But you guys did do one.
We did, not me. Like one of our other development managers who's involved in that now, so.
No, but
Yeah, we did do one,
Genstar,
and
you're with Genstar.
correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but if we were to do it again, we prefer not to. They're a headache
Yeah, but hold on, the park is signed off to the city, right? At a certain point.
at a certain point, but we need to get it to that sign off point, and it's difficult to do that.
Oh, that's okay. That's, I have challenges with different things every day too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's like, sorry. But I'm just telling you that it's well used and your clients appreciate it. Or your clients,
Absolutely.
I should say your clients of your clients, who build the homes there, right? So,
I think this will be well used by the residents as well. They're very excited about it. We probably get the number one
Okay.
phone call is when is the park going to build?
I spoke to Mr. Bowles this morning of your office, and I'm gonna text, you know, we're looking at, I can't state that it would be for a special meeting in September, or in July. However, we can flag it, for that in the event that a special meeting is called, and pencil it in, hopefully be able to consider these issues there. Because there was also the other thing I raised with him was that we were supposed to have here with this, the Mother Earth Nature Park, which was gonna be the park works taking place there. And he thought, when I was on the phone with him this morning, he thought it was all together here, and it's not. So
Mother Earth Nature Park,
Mother Earth Nature
the
Park,
one that the city, we gave the land for to the city. We're
Right.
all going to put a dog park there, but we're not designing.
no, there was a bit more to it, but I think maybe Mr. Bolden is, okay.
Yeah, I think
There's a
they're,
bit more. There was dog park, parking lot, you know, some of the trail system at the entranceway. That was part of that arrangement. And,
I think that's part of a separate application as well, the development agreement amendment.
yes, that is
Yeah.
correct, Mr. Qual's not here now, but I spoke to him this morning as well. And they're gonna try to push to have it if we were to have a special meeting, but,
Right, and that shouldn't impact this, because my understanding is there's a desire for a pickleball or basketball court, which we've accommodated in this park. The grading, so if we were able to get the amendments, we can direct some funds to this area.
well, that's new information. So
Yeah.
show me the pickleball and basketball. Do
In this square right here.
you have detail on that?
Not at this time, just that.
Why not?
we've accommodated.
We're not doing that now?
No, that would be part of the development agreement amendment.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well, that's interesting, okay.
Yeah, so we've tried to accommodate everything here so that we wouldn't have to hold up this park. You know, we've been waiting patiently for this one for a while. And we think it has all the elements that the community would want and need. It goes beyond what we're obligated to do. And there's still time that we could get it done this year. I do worry that if we lay this over, we do compromise that, but it's council's decision.
Can we, if we want to, sorry to interrupt, but really want to construct this summer, our client.
I hear what you're saying, Susan,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, we gotta do it right.
Yeah, oh,
And we will get calls from residents if it's not done. Okay,
Absolutely,
all right.
but if we could receive plan approval, if there's more detail on the playground that you're looking for, can we?
No, we can't. We have to either do up or down, as mentioned before, that doesn't matter. So,
Again, kind of like the
No, we can't do a partial approval, we have to.
Horizontal versus the vertical infrastructure, for
No,
example.
apparently
No.
not, apparently not.
You can do the refer
Yeah,
back as
it's
well.
Yeah, we can, you know, the reality is,
Extra, right? The
We're-
playground's extra.
you know, as I stated, I've had a conversation with Council Bawadi, Council Redwood's not in the room, so I haven't spoken to her about this, but there is another item that where we can pencil in. Mayor's office, it has the power to call a special meeting only, in consultation with us, of course, but for a special meeting on a public hearing item that will hopefully be coming to that meeting. Pertaining to, my understanding is pertaining to the South Transco secondary plan. Now, at that special meeting on the regular agenda, we could flag this to come back for consideration, so that hopefully it will allow you to proceed with something this year. If we can get these changes, and it would be good for your plan probably to include now, because we'll hear the amendment hopefully by that time. The basketball court, pickleball courts, and to see that. Yeah, hi, Shauna.
Hi.
How are you? Shauna Prost, Public Works.
I just wanted to say, we haven't reviewed internally. The
Okay.
city department hasn't reviewed the Mother Nature Park.
Okay,
So I don't know if it would have time to be approved
Sure.
at the next meeting.
okay, we'll see what we can do. If not, maybe Mother Earth will be in the fall, but you know, a September meeting, but we'll see. If it's there, it's there. If it's on the agenda, it's not there, right? We'll just deal with it when it comes to the fall. So that'd be fine.
Okay, so to be clear, is there changes required for this?
Yeah.
And are you understanding of the changes?
So.
That's what we're gonna, I guess to discuss the changes, it's just the level of landscaping, trees and the level of design inside the playground structure, just I want to take it up a bit. If you, and really go have a look at that, to give you an opportunity to look at the park I'm referring to, that Jetstar built. That is, I think, tremendous on the north side of Devonshire Drive West.
Okay,
To give you a chance to.
all right, and you're talking about additional trees, do you know approximately
No,
how many you're
no, we
asking?
wouldn't discuss it at that time, so.
Oh. Should we get together before or,
No, you can propose, we can discuss it and bring something back for that meeting.
I've got plans you can mark up,
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Susan. I'm aware of that.
okay?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, our next delegation is Daniel McGibbon, joining us over Zoom. Architectural Design Union to be heard in support of plan approval 621 Pandora Avenue West, which is report 3. Daniel, I'll just get you to unmute yourself and you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Good afternoon, or morning, I should say. I'm back with 621 Pandora. And I think, I gotta share my screen. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's coming up, I presume.
Yep, we can see it.
I was here for the June 1st meeting a little earlier in the month. And as noted, there's a few changes we wanted to see, just some additional planting, additional bike storage with some sort of protection enclosure on it. And then also a kind of an update to the exterior to be a little more, stand out a little bit more, but still maintain some of the quality of the finishes. So what you see before you is kind of where we arrived at, that John Winthrop asked by zoning and by the councillor. And I guess we're here to discuss this just in light of the last meeting we were laid over from. I don't really have a lot to add there, but I would just mostly just like to leave it open to questions to see if there's anything that
Thank you,
councillor
Eric.
wanted.
Can you just show us the site plan?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Thanks.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, okay. I see what you've done now with the bike storage or bike parking, which we talked about at the last meeting. Thank you very much. That's excellent. And you got some better landscaping on that side as well. Thank you.
Yeah, additional trees and
The
yeah.
elevations too, by the way, great job on the elevations. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't have any questions, Councilor Bawadi. No?
I don't actually hear anything.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Ron Wood, do you have any questions?
No questions from me, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions, more questions, Daniel. Thank you very much. We'll consider your item when it comes up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Are there any possible amendments to be discussed with the applicant at this point on that file?
No.
Okay. And then up next, we have John Gray, architect for F Block Architecture Inc., to be heard with respect to plan approval, 99 Transcona Boulevard, report 5. John, if you'd like to go forward, you have 5 minutes.
Hi, John. How are you?
How are you, Russ?
This is veterans housing, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, this is a 25 unit supportive housing complex for veterans experiencing homelessness with a central supportive housing community building. So for context, here in the purple, that is where the site is located. In the East of Red Recplex over here, the new Lake housing site, and then future development at Scene Fifth, and then by the city, and then the Transcona Library. So we're located off there. Just exterior perspectives looking at the building. They're all row house buildings with varying materials of exterior white metal, black metal, masonry, and wood accents. And then you're looking at the community building. Again, the same sort of white metal, black metal, and then exterior mass timber for the warm feel of the complex. Back to the heavy use landscaping. We can look at the materials here. And then so on to the site plan. So a larger site plan here on the right hand side, you can see Transcona Boulevard at the bottom. This to be a WHRC site on the side, and then future City of Winnipeg planning of some kind. And so fairly tight site, looking to maximize the number of units, but essentially groups of 4, 6, and then there's also down here a group of 5 accessible units with the central community building and a central sort of parade square terminology, but it's just a central hangout space.
That's the northern side of the.
Yeah, correct. Transcona Trail will be up here.
Right.
And so looking at here is use of just sort of general, you're tight on the site with lots of buildings, trying to emphasize a lot of landscaping. The client wishes to have a sort of only internalized courtyard space, so relying on the landscape and spacing for that. And then in the back, you have some raised garden beds for programming for the veterans. You go to the front, parking off the front corner here, off Transcona Boulevard. New approach is required. Landscaping provide the screening and sound buffering between Transcona Boulevard and the complex. Garbage collection at the back of the parking area. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
There was I understand there was going to be a sign also put off perpendicular to the street. I don't see it here unless the planner has it.
I think it's
a drawing of that, or
there should be. It's on the submitted plan. It should be in the last submitted plans we sent to the city for development approval.
signage.
It's located. It's not on this package, but it's located right here. Faces perpendicular to the parking area. You can see it in both directions. Are going on 99 Transcona Boulevard. So
Apparently it's not. We don't have a copy of that.
okay.
Was that sent in?
They were sent into the we had a updated set of development drawings that were sent into developer for
I just have. I have everything. I have like garbage enclosure, all that stuff. We don't have the signage here for some reason. They confirmed that the city received it.
yeah, it should be. We've sent it for development. They've approved all the development zoning side of it.
That's really odd that it's not here.
Okay.
I don't know what to say about that. but-
Yeah, so I can describe the sign to you.
Add to that, Mr. Wade?
Yes, as long as the plans just don't stamp, the signage, because that'll come later.
Why would you say?
Okay.
Okay, so as a separate approval that we would do?
It would be with like your development permits.
Okay, so you would be coming back to this committee again, so is that correct?
Not for plan approval, no.
Well, signage is usually included,
Yeah, the signage is submitted for development permits, and we have
okay,
development permit approval except for some landscaping alternatives.
okay. Could that be forwarded to my office? The signage, that'd be great. I'd like to see. Well, I know we discussed it when we met earlier this year, so I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it's like about a 4 or 5 foot tall sign.
Right.
Like concrete, some
Yeah.
backlit sign numbers and,
A little address, but not too much.
yeah, it's just
For the
99
respect, for the respect to the residents, absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
we
a 99
discussed. I just want to make sure that's done properly for the respect to the residents.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, totally.
Okay, very good. I don't have any questions. I'd actually, Councillor Roddy, Councillor Duran Wood, do you have any questions on this matter?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, this looks like a really cool project. Just looking at what's in the area, and it looks like kind of right across from Transcona Boulevard, there's a grocery store and a coffee shop and a pub, which is great. Has there been any consideration of safe crossing infrastructure from this development to cross there over to the other side of Transcona Boulevard?
And no, there's never been any kind of discussion or inclusion of that.
Okay.
The nearest one would be, you'd have to go east to where Plessis and Transcona meet.
Okay. But there's sidewalks that will take you there?
Correct, yeah, there's a sidewalk that takes you right down the entire north side of Transcona Boulevard to that crosswalk at Plessis and Transcona by the library, and then you enter in right at kind of by the Leopold's there.
Okay.
AT path there.
Yeah,
That's right.
Okay.
and then go north and tie into the Transcona Trail as well from that same location.
Okay.
Just to assist you, Councillor, if I may, I believe that the main intersection coming out of Park City Commons to the south, which does not align to your access, which is slightly to the west.
Yeah.
In the future, when east of the Red Recplex goes in and everything else, there will be a controlled intersection. There is my understanding, Councillor.
Okay.
Which is literally probably 20 feet from that driveway entrance into this project, which is a great project, as you mentioned.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Good question.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was private property. I thought this was part of the Recplex. It doesn't leave much space for the Recplex between here and the library.
Actually, no, apparently, no, this was actually the site originally, just to give you background on Council Boyd, my understanding, and I know this was the site set aside by transit with full consultation at the time for involving east of the Red Recplex to ensure there was enough land for that. This was to be a transit station, if you like, for the future east-west or for the future rapid transit line coming into Transcona. But of course, that changed when previous council eliminated that plan for transit and put everything onto the streets. And so therefore the site was then freed up, but does not impact the Red Recplex at all in any way, shape or form. Yeah, but a good question. Yeah, excellent. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you very much. If it's a will of the committee, we get the other delegates, I'd like to move to suspend the rules to deal with this item now because it's a not-for-profit project. And we've been waiting for a long time to get this released. I'd like to deal with it now. Yeah.
Just need someone in the chair.
Would you like to? Sure. Okay. Council Boyd takes the chair. I'd just like to move Councillor Duran Wood move suspension of the rules to deal with this item.
All's in favor?
Which is item number 5.
All's in favor, opposed, carried.
Aye. I'd like to move approval of this as per the designs with a simple request, which you just forward my office the sign, but that's just a request, of course, it can't be mandated. The signage just to ensure it's done respectfully for the residents. And thank the applicant and their client for this ongoing work and wish you all the best making this project happen. Homes for Heroes, which we've been waiting for a long time. So thank you so much.
Important development for the area. All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Great. Thank you. You have approval.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
I'll send you those, Joy and Russ will send you the signage plans right away and get back to the office.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to note, we do have three more delegations to be heard.
Okay.
We do also have public hearings that were scheduled for 10:30. We do need to have those started by 10:59.
All right, Mr. Harris, thank you.
So with that said, we can move on to our next delegation. Apologize if I mispronounce this. Sasa Rudilovic, architect, to be heard in support of plan approval 565 Watt Street, report 6.
Hello, Sasha. How are you?
Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm also,
Alex, okay, yeah, we do have you registered as well.
Ken from Piper Six.
I do not have you registered, so we will need a suspension of the rules.
I'm registered for the variances.
All right. Now, Counselor Bowai move suspension? Yeah. Thank you. All in favor, please carry. You're official now.
I'm suspended. Here we have a little time. How do we get this working? Really good.
And has that's been provided to me already?
Yeah.
Excellent. In that case, you can just put it in, we can pull it up, and then you can share your screen.
Yeah, it's all this stuff. There's slide dates. Don't be right. It's like on it. This slide, yeah, it's just video. I know, right? Possible. That's all good. Sure. Share screens. Something in also this election, something to the capital, given that page. I haven't seen it. I haven't. You know, I've been ahead of next time. We're ready when you are.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. We were selected as the volunteers for the 565 Watt site out of the half RFPs that went out last year. And so we've been working with the community, and Sasha and his team and Ken have been trying really hard to design something that requires the least amount of disruption to the neighborhood and minimize variance as much as possible in order to meet the half funding deadlines that are coming this year. So what we're trying to tell you here is a result of the community consultation that we had in January, and then working closely with the city's planning department, and then just trying to fit the sites and be respectful of the neighbors, and also both to the north and the south, including the Elmwood Community Renewal Corp, which is developing the southern site to the south. And we wanted to design something that is complementary and doesn't create, I guess, two sort of long east-west buildings. And so what we're showing you is sort of like the result of essentially months of trying to like unlock this site. And I think that's kind of like the high level.
Fair enough. And who is your client again?
Yeah, I'm the client. I'm the developer.
Your name?
Alex.
Alex, okay. And your company name?
Future Mark.
Okay, great. Thank you. Didn't hear you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I'll just take you through some details.
Sure, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, there was when we were awarded the RFP, there was certain conditions with like setbacks and height restrictions and stuff like that were all tied in. And so we've done our best to respect all that, and that's what we're hoping to show you. The variances are more like trying to make the space fit better on the site. So yeah, it's actually
I'll take it from there. So this shows you the elevation on Watt Street, and the from your left to the right, there is a clear sort of gradient of density, right, going from single family houses to the high rise, which is the Kelowna Horizons, which you might be familiar with. So on our site, it's 565 Watt Street was severed from the one south from it, and there's density that comes with its rezoning that was approved earlier this year for maximum 247 units. As Alex mentioned, we've tried to do a variety of things. One of them was to break up this development so it does not feel like one single gigantic building. to the south of the single family houses. I should mention there's a public lane in between our property and the backyards there. And then but to the south of us, the development that has been in front of this committee and has been approved is for a single 81-foot tall 7-story building that runs full length from the east to west, which is shown, it's pretty washed out, but it's shown and dashed. Yeah, you can see it right there. So that's a building that runs front to back of the property. So our approach to this was to break our development into into 2 buildings and 4 blocks, if you wish, and then allow for the sun to enter in between the buildings. So the northern portion of the site, which is the sort of call it a service portion of the site, the back lane is parking. The southern portion of the site is primarily landscape, and we don't have any access off the back lane, so we're not putting new traffic demands on the back lane itself. All of our emergency services, garbage pickup, and private vehicles arrive to the site from Watt Street on a dedicated. And it's so the northern part of the site is more vehicular centric, and the southern part of the site is pedestrian centric, bicycles, etc. All of it provides access into both of the buildings. So that's really the crux of it when it comes to variances that we are applying for. Sorry. We're looking at a variance in the front yard setback, which is congruent with what was requested on the site just south of us and approved. We're looking for really minor variances on the south side. Along the bottom of the drawing, for comparison's sake, we're looking at these small triangles on the buildings are what prompts the variance. And some balconies as well in that setback. For comparison's sake, the site to the south of us has had their setbacks reduced from 20 to 14 feet. So we're staying either 20 or more. And you want me to go through the variances or?
You carry on.
Yeah. So those are the building, the balconies on the
Councilor
south.
Kwani moves 2 minutes extension for the.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have provided a number of allowances for bicycle parking and for car share that's been arranged and so on. So there's some vehicular parking variances, and then the buffering to the back. We're providing a light fence as requested by the planning in order to prevent light pollution onto the lane and the backyards. But other than that, that's pretty much the variances.
Thank you very much. Anything else that you wish to add?
I think what you're seeing here is a result of trying to meet a timeline that was set with the HAF funding in terms of keeping this thing as simple as we could without just making another big long block. We could have just created big shadows in between 2 different buildings, and Sasha and I were very close to that and tried hard to mitigate the variance as much as possible. The other thing is, obviously we can do that with less density, right? But the mandate of HAP and part of our submission was to create as much housing as possible, which then creates as much affordability as possible, because those are directly correlated. And so, again, what you're seeing here is this constant push-pull between parking density and site and height and all these things. And I'm actually quite I'm quite proud of what the team has come up with.
Great.
I think it's very clean.
Well, you had a good team there. So I will ask Councillor Duran Wood, because this is a reward, if you have any questions at this time.
No questions from me. Just really happy to see this design. I think it looks really nice, and really happy about all the trees and the thoughtful placement of the buildings, and happy to see Future Mark working with ECRC to the south there. I know it's a complex site, so I'm really happy that we are where we're at right now. So thank you.
Well, I don't have any other questions. Councillor Boyd, do you have any questions? Thank you very much, and to have the famous architect who designed the cube at the Exchange Park right next to us here. It's good to see you again, and thank you for all the good work you do for our city. It's definitely a landmark piece of architecture in our own city. Appreciate that. Thank you. In my next life, hopefully an artist, sorry, architect, thank you. Any other delegation? Maybe we can have Councilor Bawadi move temporary closure of the regular meeting and opening the public hearing. Because Mr. Harris is jumping here on that one, so for the deadline. So Councilor Bawadi moves temporary closure of the regular meeting.
Yes.
All in favor, opposed, carried. He moves opening of the public hearing, so we're well within the time allotment.
Yes.
Start.
Do that right.
Okay, all in favor.
But I'd like to go back to.
And, yeah, all in favor, opposed, carried. Councilor Bawadi also moves that we temporarily close the public hearing now.
I think
We do need to go through the opening formalities,
Oh,
including
very
the land
good.
acknowledgements, calling the meeting to order.
Okay, very good.
And then just the introduction.
Thank you for that reminder. Okay, so we are opening the public hearing, though we're not gonna deal with the item right away, sir, just to let you know. Okay, so you just, land and water acknowledgement, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty One territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty Three territories. This has no legal implications to city Winnipeg as residents. Would you like to start the meeting?
Certainly, and just before I do start, I would like to note there has been a request to have the second public hearing for Watt Street moved to be heard first.
I see. Okay, thank you, Colin. Thank you, Mr. Harris.
So is the committee amenable to that minor adjustment?
Sure, I have no problem. Okay. Yeah.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it's your opportunity to speak, however, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department's website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be a part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 2 is a variance at 565 Watt Street under file DAV 156553/2026D. Please note communications were received in support of the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. The process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application, those registered in opposition, and those registered for information. The applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Speakers will be permitted 5 minutes for their presentations. All participants in the Zoom meeting have been muted and will only be permitted to speak when called upon.
Okay, so we've opened it, the Councilor Bawadi moves that we adjourn the meeting.
Yes.
All in favor, opposed, carried. Councilor Duran moves, if you could move that we reopen the regular meeting.
So moved.
So moved, thank you. All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you, councilors. And we are now back on the last delegation, I believe.
Our final registered delegation is Jordan Sodomsky, President of Forthright Properties, to be heard with respect to plan approval for Plessy Road, Report 2.
Keep the best for last. Hello, Jordan. Good to see you. Great, great. One
Hard copies. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna steal one hard copy.
Sure. Thank you, sir. You want to?
No,
Okay.
so that you can.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
That's what I
And
should.
have you provided a copy myself of that?
No.
I'll give it.
How do you want me to get it?
I'll give that to you for sure.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And we will just need a suspension of the rules in order for that to be considered by.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I would have had that.
Wanting
This has all been like very kind of last minute, so I would have,
Sure.
next time I will. How do I just quickly get this up on the screen? It's the
Uh,
same thing you have there, Council.
Oh, you have a digital copy? I can just take that then. If we could just call the question on the suspension of the rules.
Honestly, if you don't need it up there, because you have a hard copy, I don't need to put it up.
Well, I should see it, and so she can. So, yeah.
Could you, clerk needs you to move suspension of the rules over here,
Sorry.
the item that's attached here.
Sure,
So,
so include the item, not the. Yeah, some of those objectives, so I don't think
Okay.
it's still copy this for everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna call attention to a couple of the slides. I won't go through the whole thing. That's just, there we go. You know what, I can just bring. Thank you. Am I good?
Carry on.
Okay. So this is really just an opportunity for some questions after meeting with the counselor, subsequent to our meeting on the first, to make a couple of changes. One was related to the site plan. After meeting with the counselor, Counselor White had requested that the trees along this property line, which is a park, be moved to the other side so that we can completely shade the residents from the development. So we've agreed to that. Happy to accommodate. The other was some discussion surrounding the color on the ends of the building. Council had requested that we do more in line with the wood trim on the ends of the building, and we're happy to do that as well. So if there's anything, if there are any other questions or anything else you'd like to discuss, Councilor, I'm happy to do that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm just adding that to your plan for the benefit of the planner and the clerk.
Perfect.
I'm just writing in here, I've identified the trees.
Yep.
As per our discussion.
Awesome.
And the reason for that committee was you can't see with the site plan, but there is actually an existing large treed area that is staying along the western side of this plan. That was actually preserved part of the DAS application that came forward for this development. And so they already have a lot of natural landscaping on that side.
Yeah.
And so the idea is to take the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees that are located there and add them to to be added to the east side.
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the only other thing was at the ends of each column, I guess, or row, is to change the sign. You still have the dark. Are you looking at the wood there?
We're going to change that for you, Councilor.
So you're okay with that amendment?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to look pretty good. We've never done it, but I'm actually looking forward to it.
Okay.
I think it does actually break things up a little bit.
Okay, thanks, Jordan. I don't have any questions. Councilor Bawani?
Good.
Councilor Drydenwood? Councilor Drydenwood, any questions?
Sorry, no, not for me, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. We jump into the regular items?
Regards to one, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Kind of off the regular appointment cycle. It's more of a fall thing where we do committee appointments. I just would like to move them for this item to the September meeting.
Oh, really? What's my forward?
This is the local advisory committee for the libraries. We're still waiting for applications. There's a couple vacancies.
Okay, but we have 2 applications now, right? Before us here.
Yeah. I'll just mention, sorry, I'm just gonna, yeah, so I see we have some applications, which is great. Just, I guess, some extra context for me for why I would support laying this over. It's been a great privilege to be on the Public Library Board for the last couple of months. And I've had a chance to see some of the challenges and struggles that there are with the library advisory committees, what their role is, how they function, the relationship with the board, and because of that, the sort of onboarding process is important so that folks, new members, understand what the role is. And right now we have the administrative support staff person through the public service who supports the board is on leave. Because of that, there are the library board is juggling a lot of duties, including potentially onboarding people. I don't think they have a lot of capacity right now to do that adequately. So to me, I think that means we're not in a great position to set up new LAC members for success for themselves as well as the LACs in general. So yeah, I'd be happy to support Councillor Brawadi's suggestion motion to lay it over, and I would suggest up to 180 days, with the intention that we consider the applications during the regular boards and commissions process, and that way we have some flexibility there.
You're suggesting we lay over September and then lay over again to December?
Sorry, no, just generally, we could lay it over either to September or for up to 180 days. So that they could be, we could lay it over to September, or we could have it just laid over so that they could be included in the regular boards and commissions process, which takes.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see.
That's not done until December though, typically.
Yeah, I'm willing to,
In an election year, it can also be moved to January, hence the language of up to 180 days.
So just out of curiosity, councillors, we have Ms. Kingham and Ms. Braddock, who's applied. How many positions do we have open on the list?
There's currently 2.
There's 2 positions available. Is there any reason why we should not appoint these individuals?
I think for me, it's a matter of, we're not in a great position right now to onboard new LAC members. It is pretty complex. There's a lot of ongoing challenges with the members understanding their role on a LAC, and then the relationship with the LAC with the board itself. So I would prefer to do it at a time when we can really provide them the support that they need to be successful in their roles.
Right.
I'll amend my motion to up to 180 days.
Okay. All right, I've heard the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried.
Recorded?
Yes. Item number 2. That's the item we just heard, right?
Item number 2 is the plan approval on Plessis Road.
Right. So Councillor Bowani, if you'd like to take the chair.
Sure.
It's move simple 2 amendments, that, as per, I'll call this, Schedule C. As per Schedule C, page number 1, 2, 3, 4, page 4, that the trees be relocated as per page 4 on Schedule C, and that the row housing ends siding be amended to reflect the brown colored hardy board versus the black or gray colored hardy board at both ends of each house call, if you like.
And just to confirm, the administration and the applicant are on board with these changes?
The applicant's on board with public service.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Motion's been heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Great.
Agenda.
Thank you. Item number.
Item.
No, it's okay, but thank you. Item number 3, 621 Pandora we've dealt with. We dealt with the transferable order. So 621 Pandora. We have the drawings for that. Thank you. I recall it from the meeting thank you. So the meeting, so we have the drawing approved. Did anybody have any questions? I don't have any changes.
Okay, no, so this looks pretty sharp.
Okay, Councilor Ward, would you like to move?
Sure.
So approved. All Councilor Ryan Wood, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Just approve the submitted plans.
The newly submitted plans, the revised. Is my motion.
Okay, so it'll be as amended with
The newly submitted plans, yeah. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We have rangers now. So I'm gonna move approval. If you could take the chair here, and just subject to, not subject to, but changes that will, I guess I'm looking here at the sites. On the plan, I'll call this again Schedule C. Said as indicated here that trees be added on new islands created as noted. See new islands. I don't show this to you, join them in here, and that the applicant work with the public service and the area councilor in terms of just finalizing the tree locations, the locations of the tree vaults, the park amenities, the playground, park signage, as well as signage into the Children of Israel Cemetery. And that be done. And that another amendment is that signage on the site be subject to future plan approvals at EKTCC as per the arrival of tenants into the buildings. I don't have any other, oh yes, we had also an amendment to trees being put instead of shrubs on the north side of the northern fence line.
Only concern there being,
Yeah, sure.
again, if you do trees too close to the fence within their property line, like I don't know what kind of trees are gonna get. I don't think they'd be too big to have too close to the fence.
Okay, well then, I didn't hear that, but the applicant, but what would you like to do? Leave it as shrub?
Sure. I think even though the applicant says, you know, and your question was right, how well can they maintain these shrubs if they're on the wrong side of the fence? I do believe the residents will care for them if they want them. If not, it's kind of, even if it's on the applicant's property. Just a high quality shrub, maybe, I don't see the point in having it on the south side of
Yeah, I
the
agree
back
with you.
lane.
I agree.
So just with a goodwill gesture, ask that they put a higher quality shrub on the north side and the other on the south. So remove them on the south. Were you looking at keeping the wood fence or were you looking?
No, I would like to add that change as well, which is to amend as well, so we eliminate the shrubs that are located on the south side of the fence with landscape grass instead.
Sure.
And that the,
Or even gravel, grass could be in them.
grass is nice if you have a
Okay.
pet and you're working in the mall and you want to.
Fair, I'll give you that.
And then, you know, the second part of that would be to bring the fence detail design back by the public service as per a consultative, as per approval, to delegate that way in consultation with the counselor. So that we can,
So that would be just that the applicant provide the ward counselor with information pertaining to the design of the fence.
well, yeah, so that as per I mentioned before, it would be, I'll add to the clause where it was pertaining to the Children of Israel Park amenities.
Okay.
The Children of Israel Cemetery entranceway as well as fencing. And the fencing on the north side of the property line to the rear of their main large commercial building. That fencing design and standard also be delegated to the public service, working cooperatively with the area councilors, so that's the appropriate process. Instead of by the applicant. And that as well as per Schedule C, that additional trees be installed in the parking lot to provide for better landscaping, and that tree mulch be incorporated as per those discussions as well. So, and I was happy to hear. I just want to thank the applicant for his patience, their patience on this, and for having incorporated an amazing playground and park and daycare space, a new daycare space for the community, directly south of the Children of Israel Cemetery, which, by the way, goes back to the late 1800s. There's 133 people buried there. Many of them are children at a time when disease was common, and unfortunately passed from that. And not having modern medical care. The other part of this is I want to thank the applicant as well for bringing forward a plan which addresses, I think, the issue of signalization at the intersection to the south, especially at the intersection that runs coming north, north from on the east side of Cohen Place Shopping Mall, and as well for the work to design, I guess, an overall and aesthetically pleasing development with the main entrance, which you would in the past you would never see, which is a pedestrian friendly, bike friendly access into the site, being almost the main feature coming right through into the site running north south, with very good landscape, very good pedestrian access throughout the site. And good bike parking as well, from what I've been able to review. So those are my comments and amendments.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be supporting the motion. It's exciting to see this particular piece of property developed. It's been a vacant place for a long time. I think the single story nature of the buildings being constructed is gonna be a lot more positive for the neighbors. Yeah, and again, I think the traffic signal in the sort of, we'll call it Rougeau alignment, even though we know it's not technically Rougeau right there. I think will actually help with some of the traffic issues in the area, but also agree with the earlier comments that with the development of all of the properties in Transcona West area and the continued popularity of Costco, the intersection there at Peguis and Rangers desperately needs some upgrades as well. And so with those comments, thank you. Call the question. All those in favor?
Just if I may comment, Bonnie, I'd just like to add, thank you for the name change from Golden Mile to Peguis Promenade. Gives it a bit of different branding. So thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
They all like Chief Peguis. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's carried.
Thank you. Think back to the sheriff, that's already Council Bonnie and now. We dealt with item 5.
We have not moved the motion.
Oh, we did?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So then, Council Bonnie, would you like to move that motion?
So moved.
So moved. All in favor? Both carried. Thank you. Item number 6. Councillor Grandwood.
Hi. Where are we at? We're going to,
Item number 6, 565 Watt Street.
okay. Questions for the public service, or where are we at in the?
Well, if you have any questions, or would you like to move any motion on this item in this matter?
Yeah, there are just a couple of things I wanted to check with the public service on. And of course, I've had an opportunity to sit down with the applicant and go over some of these questions too. So just a couple of things. With the fence that will buffer the parking area from the back lane. I know that and the point of that is sort of to protect from headlight glare into the adjacent family yards, single family yards. Are you satisfied with the height of that fence, that it is going to be enough to protect from that light pollution?
It's proposed as 4 feet, we have no issues with that.
No issues with that? Okay, good. And could you walk me through the calculations for parking? Because I know there were a few different factors that went into the reduction of affordable and bike parking and the co-op cars. If you could just walk me through that, that would be great.
Sure, so just taking a moment, but there are 145 vehicle parking spaces and 5 are accessible, 2 are van accessible, and then there are 12 guest parking spaces. Just go into that variance itself, just a moment. So they require, as mentioned, 180 spaces, but they're providing 145. And in terms of the public service supporting that variance, I don't have the breakdown exactly, but in terms of supporting 145 instead of 180, there are parking relaxations that may be considered where a car share and bicycle parking is provided. So there's actually 3 car share vehicles as well as 122 bicycle parking spaces being provided. And this helps offset the parking storage, as well as just encourage general alternative and sustainable transportation options for the residents in the community here. We do know as well that the site's within 800 meters of their primary transit network and within a block of the Roach Street Neighborhood Greenway Active Transportation Path just to the west. And just within a longer block to the northeast, within a longer block, there's the Northeast Pioneers Greenway Active Transportation Path to the east. So we're supporting that variance for the parking reduction.
Okay, great. And my last question is, so there's a number of affordable units within this development, and those are, I just wanted to confirm that the fact that those will be affordable is sort of guaranteed because of the involvement with HAF. We don't need to put that in as a condition.
Correct.
Okay.
That was Mr. Mahi, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, well, I am happy with where things are at, so what do we need? A motion?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that in the report or?
No, it just could be just a simple motion if you wish
Okay.
to or approve with amendments of any kind.
Okay, so, and we're gonna do the variances separately as the hearing?
That is correct.
That's correct. I will note that this plan approval is contingent on the variances being approved as one of the conditions recommended by the Public Service.
Okay, so I will move that this plan approval be approved, subject to the variance, is that right?
Just that the recommendation of the Public Service be concurred in.
Okay, that the recommendation of the Public Service be concurred in.
We'll move by Councilor Roundwood. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 7. Councilor Bawadi, if you're kind enough to take the chair again.
Okay.
I'm gonna move that the matter be laid over to the September meeting. Committee with the, I guess, the footnote, informal footnote that in the event a special meeting is called at VKT to deal with the secondary plan for July, subject to the mayor office approval, that this be back on the agenda at that time.
That the matter be laid over up to 30 days?
If we can do that, yes. Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you, Councilor. Item number 8, subdivision approval of the subdivision and the servicing agreement. This is Mr. Bullock. Do you wish to add anything to this, sir?
So it's a short form subdivision to divide off a property to establish a duplex, proposed duplex. The Public Service is recommending entering into a servicing agreement to adhere to the normal conditions placed on properties along Grassy.
Okay, sounds good. Do you have any questions of this, Councilor Bawadi? Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, Councilor Roundwood, any questions? Okay,
No.
I can move it.
oh, you have the chair. You have one of the chair. All right.
I can
Councilor-
move it back, but
No, I appreciate that. All in favor, Councilor Bawadi moves
Service
approval of number 8. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. And we have an addendum item, I believe, or
oh, yes, please. Yeah, I'll move suspension of the rules to deal with this addendum, please.
sure. All in favor, opposed, carried. This is your work, Councilor.
Yes, the play structure in Smithfield Heights became unsafe and had to be removed. This is an interesting one where the province of Manitoba actually stepped up with a big contribution towards this one, along with some fundraising from the schools. So anyways, it's being over $100,000 does require approval here, so I will move the community incentive grant for $112,500.
Excellent.
Just a note, the motion would be to not concur in the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service and to approve the community incentive grant for the amount of $112,500 from the Northfield Loan Board allocation, subject to the conditions outlined in their evaluation, which is confirmation of other funding sources, approval of final plans and specifications of the project by the Director of Community Services, and the applicant entering into a formal agreement with the city of Winnipeg.
Literally what he said.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on that matter, Councilor? No? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Thank you, Councilor Bawadi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you, Councilor. I'm going to request a 10-minute break, and then we give us time to move over to the public hearing, I should say. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. I'd like to call the public hearing agenda of this meeting to order, though we temporarily closed the regular meeting. I think there's some items still to do under new business of it. Just to note the councilors for their benefit.
After the hearings, we'll do a couple items.
If that's possible, yes. Thank you. We will start, we've already had item 2 read. To start with that, which is the variance at 565 Watt. We have any delegations on this matter?
Yes, we do. We'll start off by calling forward the applicant, Alex Boersma. If you'd like to come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to make a presentation after you state your name.
Is there anybody else who wishes to come forward as well? Okay, sounds good. We'll suspend the rules, Councillor Bawani.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, carried to allow the full delegation.
Thank you. How about this guy?
You're all approved.
I should be on that one. Ken has been registered for this, so we're good.
Now we're good. Would you like us to represent what we already talked about, or?
Well, was there anything else you wish to add? Maybe is the way to put it. This is a public hearing.
Yes.
So it's recorded as well.
Yes.
So maybe just highlight the variances that are required.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right.
And then you have to go back to share screens. Yeah. You get to the other Zoom. And then share screen, yeah, right there.
How's this? Is that going on? Council Durand, do you see it?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, beautiful. So everything else, or do you want us to go through the introduction who the team is, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Alex. I am the developer, and Sasha and his team at 546 are the consultants that I chose to work with on this one. I think what you'll see here is the result of quite a bit of intentionality with talking with the area councillor, with the neighborhood through community consultations that we had in the winter, and then also the city's planning department. The gist of it, from a high level, the two sort of, I guess, larger ones, if you call it that, is number one is the parking reduction, which is offset by the car share and the bicycle parking, and it's required just because we're trying to get as many units onto this site as possible so that we can maintain as many affordable units as possible, which was part of the RFP proposal that we gave last year. And then the other thing is some of the setbacks, one along Watt to align it with the property to the south, and then also slightly and moving towards the south. And again, largely through the community consultation, keeping the buildings as far away from the neighbors to the north as we possibly could, and then without reducing dramatically the amount of units on site. So really excited to work on this. The city's internal team has been very helpful with just even getting it to where it is. There's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, it's not, it's somewhat complicated, but I'm really proud of what the team's put together here. So I'm proud to be part of this.
Good. Well, yeah, I'll go through the variances then without getting into any more generalities.
Sure.
We're looking for a reduced front yard setback on Watt Street, the site, and then we're looking for small variances to the south. Again, namely having to do with the corners of the buildings that are angled on the site plan, so very little of that projects downwards. Most of that building is further away than required setback for those blocks is. And then we've got some balconies that are also projecting in that setback. Again, all the variances that we are seeking for in that zone are smaller than what was granted to the site just immediately south of us. As Alex mentioned, the vehicular parking reduction is offset both by study, if you wish, or evaluation of the active transportation network in the vicinity, as well as on both east and west sides of the property, within a block away, and public transportation available right in front of the project, as well as the access of bicycle parking. And then lastly, the city bylaws require buffering to the lane of parking. And so we're providing that buffering in combination of landscape and a 4-foot tall fence that would be light proof towards the lane. And I think that's it. We do have more than sufficient amount of landscape features, trees, shrubs, and landscape coverage on the site. So none of those variances was required for the project, which we are proud of. Yeah.
Any other You wish to add?
And I think sessions and Alex. Good, thanks.
Very good, sir. Thank you. Any questions of the delegation at this time? Councilor Duran Wood, do you have any questions?
Yeah, maybe can we just walk through the landscaping along the front, the sort of the Watt Street side of the property? I know we discussed this, but if you can refresh my memory on what's there.
Yeah, there's a requirement for 7 trees along the property line against that's what we're supplying, as you can see here, and more wouldn't be reasonably fitting, the property, as well as a shrub coverage, which is all compliant with. It's sort of the way the project faces the street, so we're not taking that lightly.
Right. And because you've got the first sort of the ground floor of those 4 blocks is covered parking, is that right?
The covered parking is under blocks 2 and 3.
Okay.
The block 1 has amenity spaces on the ground floor, so that's
Okay,
public facing.
great. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions.
Okay, Councilor Maloney, do you have any questions?
Nope.
See no questions. Thank you very much. We have to go through this process, so we have to call for other delegations, and then you have technically an opportunity to come back and respond to anything about other delegations. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that actually concludes those we had registered for the public hearing. So just as a matter of process, is there anyone here who would like to speak in support of the application? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition to the application? And is there anyone here who would like to speak for information on the application?
Okay, we've had no other delegations, just to make the applicant aware. Do you wish to have anything to add at this time? You didn't hear any respond to, so we'll close that, and then we'll go to Councilor Duran Wood.
Yeah, if we're at that point, I think I'm ready to make motions.
Okay.
So
Go
let
ahead,
me just pull them up. So this is on page 4 of the report, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so I move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
I move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
Favor? Aye. Both carried.
I move that in accordance with subsection 247 sub 3 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance A is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. B does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. C is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property. And D is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. And in terms of my supporting reasons, just generally, we really need more housing in Elmwood, East Kildonan, especially affordable housing, especially infill housing. So I think these variances are very reasonable to help make this development feasible. In particular, the reduction in the front yard setback supports a nice walkable pedestrian realm, while creating more flexibility in terms of landscaping and parking placement. And I think the reduction in parking is acceptable. It's supported through the provision of 3 co-op cars, ample secure bike parking, and of course the development is close to both public and active transportation. So I think this housing is going to be a big asset to the community, and I'm looking forward to seeing it take shape. So those are my supporting reasons.
Okay, we've heard the councillor motion as for reasons. Any other comments? I see none. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
So then I move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
Favor? Aye. Both carried. Thank
And
you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you. And then I move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Okay, good, thank you. We have now items number 1, and it's three, I guess.
Just item one, three was withdrawn, so there's no action required.
Oh, right, okay, very good. So that's the one that we're gonna try to pencil in the meeting. Sounds good. Item three. Item one, go ahead, Mr. Harris.
Item one is a secondary plan amendment to the Transcona West Area Structure Plan under file SPA 2 of 2026. Please note communications were received in support of and in opposition to the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. The process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application, those registered in opposition, and those registered for information. The applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made, however, no new information is permitted. Speakers will be permitted 5 minutes for their presentations. At this time, I'll turn it over to the public service for a brief vote.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good thing.
Good morning, councillors. My name is Anna McKinnon. I'm a planner in the Long Range Planning Branch. I'm here today to speak to SPA 2 of 2026. I believe we've given an overview of all the amendments proposed back at the June 1st meeting, but again, this is a secondary plan amendment being proposed to the Transcona West secondary plan in partial fulfillment of obligations under the Housing Accelerator Funding Agreement with CMHC. So these amendments proposed today are minor in nature. They're similar to amendments that we've proposed for secondary plans across other community committee areas. Yeah, and we have the applicant Evan Allen here on behalf of the public service today to speak further to those amendments.
Yeah, I guess we get through a delegation. I had some questions from the last hearing, which was pertaining to, I don't know, say like density if necessary, but not necessarily density, right? Depending on where it's located. Were those issues addressed?
So we do have some suggested wording here. I don't know if you want to speak to it if you'd like me to.
Yeah. So what we'll do is you're technically the member of the delegation, so we'll get to you in a second. That's already sure, Evan. Thank you. Sorry, it's just procedural. And go ahead.
Yeah, so we did take a look at the matters you'd been discussing. There was a concern about it being potentially more restrictive or too permissive in some areas. We do note that our wording states that the low-rise buildings would be permitted where compatible with the surrounding area. So it would still be, the public service would still take a look at.
You're saying that there will be no impact on low density, for example, single family housing in where you're now mandating higher densities, possibly RMFM or RMFL.
It would still be something that the public service takes into consideration when a property comes forward. They would always look at the local context, and there are further complete communities policies too that speak to that.
So you're telling me is that because that will no longer go to a committee. It's a delegated authority now, technically.
No, so this is just an application to amend the secondary plan policy. So it would add a little bit more flexibility for landowners to come forward with their own rezoning, which would then need to go through discretionary approvals. There'd be a public service report saying as any other rezoning, and the committee would have a chance to hear that application, and the residents could come up and speak in favor or against.
Okay, so what I don't understand, I thought it was done as a right.
So this is not this would be allowing, as of right would imply that the zoning rights allow it. This would not be changing any existing zoning entitlements. It's just adding a little more flexibility to the policy so that when someone comes forward with a rezoning, there's a little more policy support potentially for what they're looking to do.
Right, I see. Okay, so from a point of view of a positive recommendation or negative recommendation, you're saying that beyond the fourplex densities, let's say, I guess it was fourplex densities, that if they're higher densities, it's something that could be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still that because that's outside of the HAF as a right, it would still be subject to approvals by a committee in the future.
Correct, yes. I think you're referencing like the infill 4s and 4s bylaw that council passed in June. So that permitted as of right development for up to 4 units citywide.
Right.
This would not be doing as of right development in the same way that did. This is simply an amendment to this one secondary plan. We're proposing similar ones to other plans, but it would allow, again, when someone comes forward with the rezoning, yes, it would follow that typical community committee process.
So why don't we just do what the HAF needed, which is just simply in fourplex and stop there? Why are we commenting on other densities now and amending it here?
So
I know that's going to be a question you can ask the applicant, but what from your point of view?
So from the public service point of view, when we reviewed these plans, obviously this is one of the older secondary plans that we have on the books. I believe it was adopted back in 08, yeah. So it's been here for a while. In that time, council has adopted new policies that would apply citywide. So complete communities, which was adopted in 2022, does provide policy support for low-rise apartments along collectors citywide. So what we're trying to do is just bring the bar for Transcona West kind of in line with that higher level city policy.
Guess I have to respectfully disagree because in the sense that we've already had, I mean, based on what you're saying, technically that everything that was approved along Pegwitz, for example, should not have been approved. Which is all the densities along there, based on one side of Pegwitz, right? The Starlight side.
So I think the area you're speaking about, I think we discussed this a little bit
It's
last time.
an area, special area.
Yeah, it's in the special planning area, so it's a different designation under the plan. So this amendment wouldn't change the
But this does
policies
not
that apply
touch
to
the
that
special
area.
area at all, this amendment?
This does not touch the special planning area.
I thought it did, okay, all right, we'll get ready to verify with the applicant. Thank you for that description. All right, we'll jump into the delegations.
All right, this time we'll go to the applicant, Evan Allen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, members of council here. My colleague did speak to generally what the amendments here are for. There was some outstanding questions from last time that we were here. And I believe, Chair, there was a question as to whether this would be more restrictive. And you had referenced that there was instances of higher density that had been allowed in other areas of the plan. So we did take a look back and there was an aspect of that you were correct on, councillors. So within, I believe it's clause 4.2 in the Transcona West Area Structure Plan, there's a clause that states that for any areas within the plan that are designated as existing residential, so that is a large portion of the existing area within Transcona West. So for areas that are designated existing, there's nothing precluding them from rezoning to another category of land use.
But it still requires a rezoning.
Still requires rezoning, but there's nothing preventing them from doing a rezoning that way. So I think that's where maybe your memory serves you right, that there have been some rezonings in the past in certain areas and some of the built up area. But that being said, the amendments that we're bringing forward today wouldn't change that. So that is still an option on the table. And all we're doing here is adding a new level and flexibility for future density along collectors in the area. The second comment was there was some discussion about the use of the word term apartment. We were trying to be a little bit more consistent with whatever's in the plan, but we have some revised language that takes that out. It's a little bit more standardized now, just referencing multifamily uses.
That was Councilor Wallach's point as well.
Yeah, that was from Councilor Brody. So the last thing that I do want to touch on, and this is related to the first question that came forward. So the option to rezone if you're in the existing area. So that has always existed in this plan, but was still subject to the density policies in section 6. Okay, so it still allowed you to rezone, but you still needed to adhere to the density policies of this plan area. And for residential, the low residential policy areas, that was somewhat restrictive. And there was some ambiguity to that policy. So if you recall from our previous meeting, one of the other amendments that we're bringing forward is to remove those density policies in their entirety. And that would alleviate any potential issue of adhering to any density in the future. So there's still a lot of flexibility within the plan policies. By removing the density caps, we're removing any ambiguity or issues in terms of its implementation in the future. And we'll just defer that to the zoning bylaw and the zoning processes that are already observed. And then in terms of the proposed low density areas in the plan, of which there are still a few, but they would be permitted along collectors. They could do up to low rise. So that's an increase in density than what was previously.
Yeah, so I have your amendment here on that, which is single family, 2-family, a triplex, and 4, or your proposed amendment, 4-plex residential uses shall be the predominant land use of land within the residential area. Low-rise residential uses may be permitted along collectors work about with surrounding areas. So what would be considered low-rise?
So low-rise,
because we always use RMF and RMF and apartment style. So we're now using residential uses. What is that?
So in terms of the correlation between what's understood in policy and zoning bylaw, it's not always super clear. The term low rise comes from complete communities and it refers to up to 4 stories of.
Up to 4 stories.
Up to 4 stories, yes.
So for example, I'll give you an example, a collector would, Peg be considered a collector's?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so on Pegwith, we have I think it's 8-story building that was built by Georgian Bay Properties on the on the eastern side, it's north of the Costco site. Under this policy, that would not be permitted.
No, because that is a separate policy area, so it's in the special planning area, so you can do higher density then. So
This
this,
is, that's not in the special planning area, that's on the other side of the special planning.
then it is in the mixed use planning area.
Right,
So there's higher density allowed, so this doesn't apply to that.
okay, so that is mixed use, so this is a composition of proposed residence, okay? So you're saying, Council Bawadi, did you?
No,
we're okay. So the definition of the special planning versus the mixed use, this amendment therefore only refers to what you're calling residential areas.
Proposed low residential areas, yeah.
Proposed, it says right now, proposed residential areas.
That's in line with what the existing policy says. The heading for that section is the proposed low density area, so that's where it applies.
All right, so I'm a little confused. So the motion I have in front of me here that you're proposing, are you proposing a change to the title? Because it doesn't say low rise in the title.
It's just the way that the document is written. This section only applies to the proposed low density areas.
I see.
It's earlier in the
I
section.
just want to make sure it's understood so that
Yeah,
it's recorded
this is-
by the clerk.
So this is 512, so 511, like 511
see.
explains it, 511 is a little bit more, this is 512. Yeah.
All right. And so I'll give you another example. So the properties, we had an application here, I think it was last year, maybe earlier this year, on Grassy Boulevard, south side, towards the, I guess, the end of the residential housing that's known as Harborview South. Backing on to single-family homes on Rutledge, mainly Rutledge Crescent. We heard residents speak, wanting them to have a bit of a buffer, incorporate lower densities backing onto them. This committee moved that the Grass is a collector, that what would be the impact on them? Because we moved, for example, to require a change to that amended secondary plan and application to allow for or their application to require lower density immediately adjacent to single family that exists on Rutledge Crescent. My understanding is they appealed to the municipal board. I don't know what the outcome of that was, but that's what council approved. So what would be implications for something like that?
So in that instance, as I understand, the subdivision rezoning applications for that were withdrawn. So there wasn't anything directly on the table in terms of specific building requirements. But I think the issue with that development was that there were density policies that were being invoked, right? The density policies that we're now proposing to remove. So in order for them to meet those density policies, it would have been very challenging. So at the time, the public service recommendation was to change that area to medium density.
Right.
Which would not be affected by this and has a higher threshold for density.
But why is it not affected by this?
Because this is only affecting the low density residential areas, not the medium density residential areas.
See, that's categorized now as a medium.
Yes, I believe that was the decision of council. Yeah.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. I'm not really clear on what you want us to amend now.
So so it would be the removal of section 6 in its entirety. And then the amendment that you see before you with the slight wording change is what we would propose as a suggested amendment to that. And it would be the addition of low-rise uses along collectors.
Do we have a printed out version of this amendment that you wish?
It would have been included in the original application materials, which would be
There's no change to that here, but
sorry.
There's no change since the last meeting.
Just the one that you see that's highlighted.
Okay,
That's the only.
that's it.
That's,
Okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
item
everything
one,
else,
it's B,
everything else should stay the same.
One appendix, okay.
so that would be the
This is
revised,
where the five.
revised wording for item one, yeah.
Okay, I hear you. I don't have any questions, Councilor One?
Nope.
Councilor Duran Wood?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll note that we did receive a submission in opposition to this file. However, we haven't had anyone else register. Just for the record, is there anyone here who would like to speak in support of the application? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? And anyone who would like to speak for information on the application? Seeing none, we have questions for the public service.
I don't have any questions I've asked. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Councilor Wadi, Councilor Duran Wood, any questions at this time?
No.
No, okay. All right. Do we need to call for any other nominations or
Nope, this concludes delegations unless the applicant has any rebuttal.
any rebuttal at this time? No? All right. All right, Councilor Wadi, you kind of have to take the chair. Sure. I'm gonna move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor? Opposed, carried.
I move that the receipt of public representation be concluded.
All's in favor?
I
Opposed, carried.
move that recommendations of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in, subject with the one amendment as per attached and discussed, and forwarded on to the Standing Policy Committee of Property Development. Supporting reasons is the understanding that this is more to address minor changes that will ensure that densities of any kind of densities up against single family or low density will still be subject to an application and public hearing. But it does simply identify the changes made, policy changes made by council in this term pertaining to the HAF. And I think that kind of incorporates it well. So those are my supporting comments. I still have misgivings about why we did that for the kind of money we were getting from the federal government for affordable housing, considering it was so large. Of course, they did it to every major city in Canada at that time. But anyway, that is where we're at now. So I will move that.
I'll be supporting this. It's been exciting to watch Transcona develop and become part of the city of Winnipeg, a contiguous part of the city of Winnipeg. My GPS during rush hour sent me down Devonshire. I didn't realize it was now connected through all the way, and I'll come behind a school bus. It wasn't a shortcut in the end, but regardless, it's exciting to see all the changes in Transcona and the orderly development that has come about because of the planning that our staff and were involved in council. So I'll be supporting the motion. Okay, any other comments?
Oh, sorry, you're the chair.
Any other comments or?
Nope, I'm happy to support it as well.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And you move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna move that, yes.
Okay, all's in favor? Opposed, carried.
Okay.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Okay. Councilor, why we kind of have to move adjournment of the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Before we reopen the regular meeting, I just gotta go grab a motion. I think we just take that.
Okay. 5 minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. 5 minute break and we'll come back to the regular meeting.
We'll continue. We won't take a lunch. Well, through.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
Five minutes.
Okay. We'll be back in 5, Councilor. Thank you. All right, all in favor, opposed, carried. All right, welcome back to the East Coast Transport Committee. And we have just a number of new business items. Councilor Boyd, could you move suspension of the rules to deal with the non-conforming approach application at 29 and 175 Quebec Crescent?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And we have the administrative report. Does anybody have any questions about that? Not that we could address them. It's pretty straightforward, actually. I'm not opposed to it, so would you be kind enough to move the application, Councilor Boyd?
So moved.
It's in the Transcona Board.
Sage North. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, Councilor Boyd moved it. Any questions at this time or any comments? No, seeing none. All in favor? All in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Councilor Body, do you have any items of new business? Councilor Grant Wood, do you have any items of new business?
I do not.
Okay, I have one item which I would like just to give the clerk, put it on the agenda for the September meeting, so you have time to read it, notice. And, I also, with this, was just with an asterisk, I guess, I had a chance, just to give the committee a chance, a heads up. I spoke to Miss Destiny Watt during one of the breaks that we had, and, they're gonna be looking at a date possibly for a special meeting in late July. My understanding, there's a secondary plan pertaining to South Transcona that was withdrawn. As you know, it was on our agenda, it was withdrawn. And they're trying to see if that's gonna come back or not. And part of the challenge is that we don't know in terms of the work going on between the applicant and the administration. But we need to know, ideally have some dates where we're available to assist the mayor's office in the event that should be called. So just FYI, and at that opportunity, if we do have a special meeting, there are a number of items that I've said to the mayor's office that I have in the Transcona ward, just because of the growth and development happening to try to address. And that this motion, for example, would be one of them, but I'll flag that for Ms. White, that we could possibly bring back. So wait until September, deal with it in July, just to give you a heads up. The other items, and just to give you a heads up here as well, where are we here?
So just to be clear, this one is, the intent is to lay this motion up as submitted for up to 30 days.
Okay, that's right. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that. And then the other items, again, we had item number 7 on our regular agenda today, right? That would be, we did that already for 30 days.
Up to 30 days,
Up
correct?
to 30 days. And that included, I believe, the park designs from other nature parks, so that was part of that.
That would actually need to be a separate motion for that, just because that one's related to a specific application. If we were doing Mother Nature Earth Park, we would need a separate.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily need to be included today. That could be included at the time, unless you have wording for the Mother Nature Earth Park.
No, the confusion is the applicant is the same for item 7.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do it separate. So then maybe what I'll suggest, Council Lloyd, Councilor Brown, was we move to add 2 items or 3 items to the agenda. Number 1, this motion. Okay, that it be moved, that it be included in 30 days.
Up to 30 days, laid over up to 30 days.
Up to 30 days, and so that in the event it does, if that 30 days expires, it automatically goes to the September meeting?
Essentially, 30 days would be the September meeting. Just the way the meeting schedule works, but if there does happen to be a special meeting in the meantime, because we use the phrasing of up to, we can introduce it at that time.
What if it's late July?
That's still fine anytime in the timing between now and September, which is the quote unquote 30 days.
Oh, okay, got you. It's 30 days is just, okay.
It's the meeting schedule,
Got you.
phrasing.
All right, so I'm gonna move, Council White can take the chair.
Yep.
I'll move suspension of the rules so that the following items be heard within the next 30 days, which would be September, or if it means calls between now and the end of July.
That's the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
The following items, okay, the following items are number 1, the motion that I provided to the clerk pertaining to establishing, asking the public service to do an analysis for a transportation area charge in the Transcona West area, similar to the Ridgewood transportation area charge that the council in the last decade has established in Charleswood, to assist with with the Bill Clement Parkway extension, I guess you would call it. And that would hopefully allow, with the idea that it would provide seed funding towards the future Edward Shire Parkway right away, which has been set aside for the city. And that's something that this motion will only be putting on the table now for information. We're not dealing with it today, but simply to have it at the next meeting of community. So that motion, that would be number 1. Number 2,
Should we call the question on that one?
sure.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, I'll move that as well. That item number 3, or this next item that I have on the special, or the addendum, or the regular meeting here, is that I guess it'll be the matter of the park design for Mother Earth Nature Park. Also be considered And then at the regular meeting in 30 days, or at a meeting in 30 days of East Kelowna Transcona Community Committee. Is that how you want to word it?
That one's a little bit interesting as we don't currently have the park plan approval
Right.
for us.
In the event that information is available.
What I would suggest is perhaps we don't necessarily include that as a motion, but if the department does get the application processed and everything prior to the special meeting, they can be in touch
Okay.
with the committee, and then we can just add it to the agenda, but I don't think there's necessarily a need to have it added as a motion at this time, just because we don't have the actual application before us.
Okay, so maybe I would reword it to say that the committee motion requests that in the event a meeting can be accommodated prior to the September meeting of committee, that consideration be given to an application, which I understand is underway, for a plan approval for Mother Nature Park. And number two,
Motion to,
well, it's more of an FYI to.
Okay, so in the event the application for the park plan approval for Mother Nature Earth Park is submitted prior to a special meeting, that it be included on said meeting agenda.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess I would add to that as well, the same be said for the proposed amendment we heard today, the proposed amendment to the Summerlee Development Servicing Agreement, which I understand is underway as well with public service, having talked to Mr. Paul.
That one we've already done in the motion itself, as we had laid it over for up to 30 days. That's for the other park plan approval we discussed today.
That was the plan approval. This is separate.
Okay.
So this is an amendment to a development servicing agreement. So no, it's different than what we heard.
The DASSF?
Yes, what we heard today was a plan approval. We didn't, I don't think there was a development servicing agreement amendment attached to it.
There was, item 8 was the approval of proposed subdivision and servicing agreement for land located at 45 Grassy.
No,
okay,
that's separate.
okay.
That's separate.
okay,
It is confusing.
Alright, so what is this one?
This is an amendment to the Summerlee / Denstar Development servicing agreement, the existing development servicing agreement
Okay.
that is presently before the Land Development Division.
Okay.
And with the intent of bringing it to September, but in the event it's ready, bring it to a meeting prior to that.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
We can call the question on those two items.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you. And that's all I have. So,
I think I'm good, so.
okay, you have a chair still?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Council Gladwin moves consent of adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.